What's up, everyone? It's Jeremy here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Put some more light on. You can see me a little better. There we go. It's a little better. We're out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, dog training company, and this is Thirsty Thursdays Q&A, episode 25. And yeah, we are here to answer some questions. We're going to answer some dog training questions and drink a little bit of beer. So we'll also be talking about the topic at hand, which is there's been a lot of talk this week about prong collars, or just I've got a lot of trainer friends who use the same kind of tools that I use that have caught in a lot of flack for their methodologies and maybe their videos that they post. They've caught a lot of heat for it from other trainers and maybe organizations. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and yeah, we'll just talk about anything. Talk about the dogs that I have right now and anything like that. So right away, if any of you have questions, feel free to ask, and let's get this thing started. Otherwise, I think I have a question. Doing good. June is doing pretty good. You know, typically golden doodles are a little bit standoffish or fearful, but she's warming up, I would say. When the drop off, she was shaking a little bit during the drop off, so she was super nervous. But I took her on a walk, and her tail actually went up, which was, in my opinion, a good sign, and she seemed pretty happy. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Just take some time. All right. Okay. Jen asks, do you think fallout can happen when trainers or dog owners use e-collars or other balance training methods? Let's see. So we have to talk about what fallout is. I'm not quite sure. I've heard it before. I've heard that concept before, fallout. And I think if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I think fallout means the dog shuts down, the dog avoids training. I'm not sure what fallout means, so I can't really tell you. If you want to explain to me what you mean by fallout, I'll definitely try to articulate it to the best of my ability. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what fallout means. But I will tell you this, depending on, so my rule of thumb with the e-collar is you shouldn't be teaching dogs on an e-collar. You should just be proofing what they already know. It's just a tool to proof. They have to know what you're teaching them in order for to avoid, I would say, what people categorize as fallout. Okay, so maybe fallout, but what you mean by fallout is confusion. If you are teaching a dog by way of, e-collars or prong collars, and yes, confusion can happen. So sometimes when you recommend those tools to a client or a friend or whatever, then you might want to let them know that they need to go see a professional. Because with certain dogs, those tools can be easily, comprehended. Some dogs take to those collars very well, very easily. But for some dogs, like the overly sensitive dogs, they may need a little bit more of a seasoned eye to know when to do certain things. So what I'm saying is, you know, even with the prong collar, I mean, even with any collar, really, if you have an overly sensitive dog, they can become confused very quickly, which then, if they do become so confused that they stop doing anything at all, that may look like what you describe as fallout. So, you said could be shut down, confusion. Now bite without warning. Do you have a dog that you're speaking about? So let me reiterate that some dogs take extra time to even adjust to the prong collar. That's why it's important to learn to be able to learn how to be very gentle with that sensitive dog to get the same result as the dog that you don't have to be as gentle, because they don't, for the first time, the prong collar does nothing for them or to them. So, but for some dogs, that they will go into a big state of confusion. They may do the flippies. Excuse me. They may even try and bite, but they're just confused and or just being really bratty. So you just have to learn how to also read dogs, but learning how to be very light on the leash is something that can be very beneficial if you're working with fearful dogs. Just a topic you were reading about, okay. And I'd like to take on more challenging foster dogs, whether they're sensitive, etc. Okay, so cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I would say when it comes to fallout, I mean, I don't have dogs that do that, although I can, for example, some dogs are going to take more time than other dogs to learn the same things that you may want them to learn. And when some dogs go into such maybe a confused or shut down mind, sometimes they can fool you as their means of not moving forward. So you have to read that as well, because some dogs will say, this sort of behavior, like, for example, you're walking a dog on a prong collar. This is probably the most common example, but it does happen. The dog starts off by laying down, not moving, after it's confused on what you want the dog to do. So say you're taking a dog on a walk, and it doesn't want to walk in the manner that you want it to walk, so it just lays down and flats, bellies out, and doesn't move. Okay, give him the benefit of the doubt that he may not know what you want if that's the first session, maybe even the second session. We were just talking about that yesterday, Jake. But so the first session, you would say fallout if the dog decides to belly down and doesn't want to walk anymore. But then the dog makes a mental note on the other side of the things and says, well, that kind of gave me what I wanted. We stopped. Maybe we gave up. Maybe we said, this is too much. So the dog will probably start to doing it again, just to simply not go through what you want it to go through. So, biggest thing about that is knowing how to read the dog, and also knowing how much time you have, because sometimes you even just have to add a week with a dog in order to maybe bring them out of that state of, confusion. So, all right. I got another question, I think. Let me look it up here. Feel free to ask questions, guys. If you are new to the show, it's a dog training Q&A. I don't think I listed that in the description, but it's a dog training Q&A. So if you have any questions about dogs or dog training or anything like that, feel free to type your question in. Let's see. Yeah, I know. Are you thinking about becoming a trainer there, Jen? Because I've been really thinking about how I can get to Madison, and one of the things that I've been thinking about is sort of sponsoring someone who wants to train dogs or wants to become a trainer, and I want to sponsor them to go to Train the Trainers, which is something that Sean O'Shea, Laura Morgan, Jeff Gelman, and Tori Smith put on. And I went there a long time ago, so I think it's 5 days, 5 or 4, maybe even 3. I think they've got a 3-day, a 4-day, and a 5-day. But I'm thinking about sponsoring someone from Madison or Milwaukee to learn those skills, to get a nice base, and then sort of I guess franchise in a way. But that's what I've been thinking about doing, because I know that there is a need for balanced trainers in Madison and Milwaukee. So, all right, let's see. Any suggestions for? Wait a minute, where'd that go? Oh snap! Where'd that question go? Hold on. Seven days. Dang, they got a 7-day program. Okay. All right. Hold on. Where'd that question go? Did they delete it? Hurry up. Okay, let's see. I know I saw another question somewhere. Okay, never mind. I've got puppy classes, don't forget. Carly, you got the puppy classes. Alright, let's see. Well, I can't find that. There it is. Any suggestions for keeping dogs out of kitchen or bathroom? Alright. Any suggestions on keeping dogs out of the kitchen or bathroom? Or I think it said something else. Counter, maybe. You teach your dog to go lay down on its bed, and teach your dog to stay. All right, and you may have to start off with a leash so that you can easily grab the dog and show the dog where you want the dog to stay. Once it learns that well enough, then the dog will stay out of the kitchen because you had put it on its place. So I always say, if you have too much chaos in the house, just add more structure in the house. Don't let them do whatever they want in the house. Add more structure in the house. So teaching them that place command is really good, is really awesome. Also, when you come home, don't say hi to the dog. Ignore the dog, and to help facilitate calm energy in the house. So what you want to start doing is facilitating calm energy in the house, and not so much freedom, because the dogs think they can do whatever they want if they have too much freedom, which means sometimes getting into stuff that we don't want them to get into. So teach that place command, or tell them to go to their bed, but you may have to put a leash on first to teach them where you want them to stay. All right. Thank you for your question. Okay, we got some more questions here. Have you ever thought about going to schools to talk to kids about the responsibility of owning a dog? How they should be treated like a family member and not left out on a chain. We have a huge problem in GA. hope to something. Hope to keep. Oh, correction. Keep them out of kitchen or bathroom trash can. Same thing. So I'll answer your question, Sally, after I finish answering Morgan's question. So yeah, bathrooms, for bathroom or trash cans, it would be the same thing. So for example, if I'm in my bathroom and the dog comes in, and if I've taught the dog to go to their bed command or place command, then I will just say, go to your bed, go lay down, or place, one of those three. So it's all about, again, teaching your dog a spot in the house that you want it to go and stay and remain, so that it can go there by default when the dog decides to get into stupid things. Now, depending on how old the dog is, if it's getting into the trash can while you're gone, then that may mean you have to do something with your trash can or crate the dog. You can put the trash can on the counter or something like that. But if your dog's getting into stuff, then you may have to go back to basics. All right. Thank you for your question. Okay. Yes, I've thought about it, and I've actually done it a few times. Not necessarily schools, but I used to work with Big Brother, Big Sister, and I used to talk to a bunch of them about dog safety, dog protocol, dog 101, and yeah, that was the goal. More not so much treating them like a family member, but more so how to approach a dog, how not to approach a dog, and the greetings and how to handle a dog. No hugging, no pulling on the tails and stuff like that. Real basic stuff, but so that was kind of my extent of it. So I should actually do more of that. All right, let's see if I got another one. All right, so anyway, the president of the IACP, which is the International Association of Canine Professionals, has emailed me and other members of that organization. If you guys support balance training, definitely check that organization out. It'll keep you informed on things like our tools being banned. And so if you use those tools and you are in support of those tools, then you should check out that organization and consider becoming a member of it. It is canineprofessionals.com to look it up. So the president again emailed me today about the recent legislation being passed, and actually I saw this in a dog training group, but in San Francisco, the San Francisco Spca, I believe I got that right, also banned the use of collars. And then when you go to the article, or when you read the article that the trainer provided, you only have opinions of doctors or veterinarians about how harmful the prong collar is, and about how inhumane it is. How can a tool be inhumane? How can a tool be inhumane? And how can doctors talk about a tool that shapes behavior when they are only into health? They don't need to be talking about behavior. So I would say it discredits the article, because the article should be talking with behaviorists. There's no opinion. There's no input from other people other than veterinarians. And I would definitely say that they only deal with a certain amount of behavior, which entails dogs being brought in to have shots and all the other things in regards to health. They're not actually out there walking dogs. They're not trying to get the 90-pound Rottweiler to walk with a 120-pound human. So, it's kind of frustrating when veterinarians sort of take precedence over behaviorists because they have a DR dot before their name. It's like you guys are gonna make it really bad for a lot of people, why don't you talk to someone who actually works with dogs? There's plenty of good balanced trainers in San Francisco, and I know a few of them. And but there's a lot of organizations, humane societies that you work with throughout the years that really are intimidated of prong collars. It's like, how in the hell did everyone get intimidated by prong collars, but yet no one even knows how to use them? There was a good quote I saw on a dog training website today that said, oh man, I want to bring it up because that was really good and I don't want to mess it up, and I will mess it up. Let's see. Let's see if I got any questions. My husband will be going back to work later this month after being home all day, every day with Dozer and Daisy. He's been leaving for a few hours here and there. We can already see behavior issues arising with the... Does it not let me see the rest of the question? All right, let's see. Fox, wow. So, Kim, I know you're probably gonna have to step up your game a little bit if your boy's going back to work. Definitely gonna have to step up your game. You know what you could do is start working one at a time, letting out one at a time too. If one's too much for you. What's up, Rachel? I heard y'all are building the All-Star squad over there at Dame. So congratulations for that. Congratulations on that. All right, let me see if I can get that quote. But yeah, Kim, I think maybe one dog at a time, in some way to get both control over the dogs will probably be the best bet. Okay, it's taking me a minute to scroll down. Okay, here we go. So the quote is, when a dog trainer proudly states which tool she or he is unwilling to learn, she or he quietly states which dog she is unable to help. And I think that's so true, because a lot of those positive trainers, they bash the tools, but yet they don't know how to work with certain dogs, right? So even certain clubs, they bash this type of training, but they don't accept but good dogs, easy dogs. And so it's kind of baffles my mind that I get people calling me all the time and said, we're not allowed back into the class, or the trainer will straight up tell them you need to get rid of this dog, or we can't help you. Is it that you don't have the time to want to learn about how to help difficult dogs? Because I'll tell you what, the way that society is going, there are going to be more and more difficult dogs because of the way that the propaganda portrays dog training, or how we even teach philosophy in college. It's all not good psychology. So anyway, those of you who just joined in, feel free to ask a dog training question if you have any. We'll be here for another 30 minutes, drinking some beer, answering some questions. And I'm gonna, I found it on this dog training site. Actually, I used to work with this dog trainer, and she's out of Black Creek, Wisconsin. I'm gonna share it on my page right after this, so you guys can see it. But yeah, thank you for your post the other day about cuddling. Definitely made me take a step back and rethink how I interact with my pup. Oh, well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I had to have a difficult conversation with someone, and you know, it just sort of rubbed me not the wrong way. It didn't get me angry, and I don't ever want to make a post that made me come off that way. But you know, like I said, you know, when you describe, you know, in what ways you show your love to your dog, it doesn't please me to hear that you know, the dog, you know, you're petting the dog, you're cuddling with the dog, the dog is on the couch and all that, and that's your first 5 times you tell me how you show your love. But why don't you tell me, you know, that you took a nice adventure with your dog, and it was a beautiful day, and you had a beautiful walk on off leash with your dog, or on leash, doesn't even matter. But you know, that's to me how you show your love for you know, to a dog. Now this is what people may disagree with me about, is that if dogs were wild, right? If dogs were not domesticated and they were in packs and they were out in the wilderness, would they be any less happy than if they were in a home, being able to snuggle? I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that they would be less happy, because I think they'd have a little bit more freedom to do what they want. So that's my take on it. That's my advice. All right, what advice do you have for gaining control over a 6-month-old golden retriever puppy when walking on leash, besides doing nibble heeling in class? Let's see. Thanks. I appreciate that, Shane. You're always watching. All right, let's see. Well, if you're working with a 6-month-old golden, I would say, depending on how strong the dog is, I would say you could start off with a slip lead. But see, I go with a slip lead. You know, if the dog is 6 months, I mean, when my dog was 13 weeks, you know, even, you know, like, yeah, I would say 13 weeks. My dog was on just a collar, a head collar, and a leash. I never went to harness with a dog, unless they were, you know, like 10 weeks or younger. But if he's 6 months, I would start off with a slip lead, and if he's really drivey or strong or just crazy, I would start off with a prong collar. I mean, if you can be very gentle with the prong collar, why not? You know, Goldens probably present a crazy, bouncy personality, so maybe I would start off with a slip lead and see how we go with there. But the thing is, you want to be able to teach that dog, even a 6-month-old puppy, that, you know, simple psychology kind of stuff, like, if I stop, then you stop, or you don't move me when you try to move me. And you know, simple stuff like that will make all the difference, because they will attempt to do what they want, but you can show them how to be patient by waiting them out and not allowing them to determine where you go when you stop, and when you stop. The dog should be doing less dictating than you. You know, you should be dictating where it goes, you know, when it stops, when it pees, all that stuff, because they're way smart enough to be able to manipulate that. So patience for a puppy is paramount, because the older the older you try and teach it, the harder it'll be, the more challenging it'll be. Okay, got another question. Also, how can I get Dusty to come right away when I call him, when he just seems to want to ignore me? Most times he is okay, but sometimes he just refuses to come. Why is it only showing me half the question? I think Facebook is messing up. It's only showing me half the question. Okay. Oh, okay, here we go. Most times he's okay, but sometimes he just refuses to come if he is distracted. Well, if he's distracted, you have to sort of distract him from what he's focused on. And sometimes you may have to add more pressure, right? So, you know, and that just means, you know, if he's stuck on a scent or something like that, clap your hands, say, Dusty, and then say, come here, you know, adding more pressure. So you start off with Dusty, come. Doesn't do it, add more pressure. Dusty, come. More pressure. Hey, Dusty, bring your butt over here. Stuff like that. So, or if that doesn't work, then you have to go get him. You know, my rule of thumb with the recall, it depends. It's situational, obviously, depending on if he has a fence or not. But if he has a fence and he's ignoring you, then he'll probably need your body pressure to convince him that he has to come. So, you know, you can give him a few times, you know, just hollering at him. But if he doesn't come, then you'll have to go get him, or you can put the e-collar on him and get him to come then. So if your regular voice isn't coming, then you have to add a layer of pressure. Then that can be through leash, e-collar, or your body pressure. All right, thank you for your question. Well, let's see. This thing's not showing me all the questions. Let's see if I can get in here. He does have a fence. Okay, that's good. All right, so back to the subject for a minute here. Toronto. So Toronto, Canada has also, I guess, passed legislation on prong collars. I don't think they've done it for e-collars yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone who's watching, but I think it's just prong collars. And so the problem is New York. Someone proposed it in New York as well, but Tyler Muto and the International Association of Canine Professionals jumped on it and basically found out that the bill wasn't even going to be, considered. And so it's important, again, that we have an organization to stay on top of those things, because that could be happening right underneath us and we not even know it. So it's very, very important to stay, attentive to what's going on, and so that we can continue to help dogs as best that we see fit. That got me thinking, how do I even stay up on that? How do I know where to go in order to catch those things? Because, for example, like if a bill is presented or some sort of legislation is presented and we don't know about it, we can't even put our voice and input into it because no one even knows we exist. And so It's very important to stay conscious of it. So I'm not sure how to do that, but and it even affects it even affects clients, and it even affects everyone, because now they'll fine you if you are using a prong collar, and definitely I think it's the UK, parts of the UK, e-collars and prong collars are banned. So education has always got to be there at the forefront, because we know, the people that are watching this, we know that it can be very beneficial to have those tools accessible to us. I am a believer that, trainers should not rely on tools. And the first 5 years of me working with dogs, I never even picked up an e-collar before, or a prong collar for that matter. So, I always say we shouldn't rely on tools. The only thing that tools do is create a shortcut to calm behavior. You can get to anywhere, but it just will take a lot longer without those tools. It really will. Training takes a long time. Behavior takes a long time to change anyway. And so, those tools really do give people the ability to control their dog, and it does save lives. So, it's really saddening, and it sucks that people so blindly can just look at a tool and judge it without seeing it being demonstrated, seeing how it works, talking to people who use it. None of these people who've passed this crap have never talked to a person who actually uses it. They probably won't even consider the side of our side. They probably wouldn't even consider our side. They just say, look at the prong collar, they put it on the table, say, yep, that looks inhumane, cut it out. So maybe we need to learn how to make prong collars look like, I don't know, flowers or something. Make it look more appealing. But it does look a little medieval. So, let's see. What are you drinking tonight? I'm drinking Delirium Tremens, and this is one of my favorite beers to date. It is Belgian ale, and it is good. Flowers wood. I was nervous about prong collars too, but whenever I picked it up, Dusty knows we're going on a walk or a ride, and he comes running and literally sticks his head in it. I don't know what I would do without it, without it when taking him. So, again, those type of testimonials and that needs to be heard, or we need to definitely know what's going on, because again, I'm pretty sure that some of this stuff happened unknowing to people who use these tools. Otherwise, maybe it wouldn't have just passed so quickly, so easily. So we got to stay aware of what's going on. Yeah, send Daisy. I want to see her. I want to see that Miss Daisy, the Miss Intensity. Can't wait to work with her. All right, folks. If you guys have any last questions, I think we're going to get off here. But if you guys have any last questions, go ahead and type them in. If you want me to continue to talk about whatever, I can keep talking. But that was a good question, Kim or Jen. It was Jen. Thank you for your question about the fallout. There's a lot of things that we need to debunk that's out there, that's easily found by people trying to learn more, because on average what people research online, whew, I have a hard time agreeing with. So thank you for that. What is a slip lead? Sorry. So a slip lead is simply just it comes in many different materials, but it's just a lead. So say a lead that comes sort of, say if you take one end of the leash and you put it through the handle of the leash, that they make leashes that make that sort of thing. So it's just a slip lead because it slips tension when the dog decides to pull and stuff like that. All right. You can get them pretty thick too, which is nice and easy, or they come in pretty thin material. So yeah, a slip lead is just something that gets a little tighter when the dog pulls and then releases when the dog decides not to pull. So check it out. Let's see where if you go to my website and you go to the store section of my website, you can see the slip leads that I recommend. Along with all the other tools that I recommend, I sort of went through Amazon and I handpicked the ones that work, and because I know which ones that don't work and the ones that do work. So if you get a minute, I sort of picked maybe, I don't know, like 50 different products, from books to food to training collars to harnesses to crates to everything that I use that I know works. I have hand selected, so you guys should check that out just to check it out and see what a trainer uses. All right. So I'm almost done here. Any last questions? Feel free to ask. Yeah, this is a good beer. If you guys haven't tried it, you got to try it. Bam. All right, folks. It's been fun, as always. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Give me a like if you haven't, and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching.